Hello, and welcome to today's live coaching call and community conversation. Today, we are going to be talking about the best exercise to burn fat for women in menopause. And so, we're going to talk about some numbers, we're going to do a little bit of math, and I'm going to share a little bit of insight with you about how it is we need to rethink our training, right, or our exercise so that we can get the result that we say that we really want for ourselves. And this really is a mindset shift that we need to make, understanding how our body is working, both physically, chemically, and I guess hormonally. So all three ways. So do me a favor in the comment section, leave me a comment and let me know if you are currently exercising. So just a yes or a no. Yes, you're exercising. No, you're not. And then if you want to elaborate, let me know what type of exercises that you're doing or what type of training modality that you're involved in. So are you a runner? Are you a strength trainer? Do you golf? Are you a swimmer? Like, let me know. And then we're going to work that into today's conversation as well. The more you guys communicate in the comment section, the better conversation and coaching opportunity we all get to have here in this community. So figure out what it is you're doing with your fitness, and then we're going to figure out how to get you your results. The thing about utilizing our fat storage, right, for energy is we have to think about where our body is, what we're asking of our body, and what our body's response to that ask is, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I have a little chart for you guys that I want to bring up. And this chart is going to help us understand where it is we really need to track what we're doing. So there is a thing called the energy demand, right? And that's where our body is going to provide us what we need when we're asking it to participate in something, right? So whether it's strength training, grocery shopping, running a marathon, golfing, whatever, we're asking our body to provide the energy that we need to execute the event, right? Or the activity. And the response that our body gives us when we have that ask is really our heart rate zone, right? And how our body is going to make energy available is dependent on what zone our heart rate is in. And when you can connect these together, this is where we can really start tapping into energy reserves and pull them out to utilize them for energy. So we have 5 training zones, right? We have zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, and zone 5. And they're based off of a percentage of our heart rate based on our maximum heart rate. And that's determined through a calculation based on your age, give or take your current fitness level, right? So it's always a calculation. That's a standard. And then we have to create some variables for our own personal situation. So when you're doing or you're figuring out your max heart rate, if you don't know what your maximum heart rate is or you don't know what your training zones are, I highly recommend Googling how to figure that out and then getting those in your head or putting them in an app so you can start using those for your training sessions. So what we want to do is get that maximum heart rate, and then we want to break that down into these zones, right? So zone 1 is 50 to 60% of your maximum heart rate. The 50 to 60 is your training zone. We have zone 2, which is 60 to 70%. We have zone 3, which is 70 to 80%. Zone 4, which is 80 to 90, and zone 5, which is 90 to 100. So zone 4, zone 5 is more HIIT style or that high intensity type of training. Okay, so these zones, right? The response that our body gives us by our heart beating when we're in an activity, that response is based off what we're asking our body to participate in. And when we ask our body to participate in some event, the heart rate zone is really going to tell our body where to pull the energy storage from. The lower the intensity and the longer duration, we've talked about this a lot here, that endurance style training is more of that fat utilization, right? So we're going to be able to pull fat storage out and utilize that for energy when we stay within those heart rate zones. And then when we get into the higher intensity, those are usually less time, right? So not as long in duration, higher impact as far as what our heart is going to do or the response that we get from the ask. And that is more carbohydrate dependent, right? Because it's that fight or flight, believe it or not, type of response that your body's going to have. And it taps into those carbohydrate stores, right? Or the sugar stores, and it's going to make that readily available so you can get out of the gate quickly. So we have to understand what it is we are really asking our body to do and what we want the end result to be. And when we know what we want the end result to be, and for most women that I coach here in this community, myself included in that, is I really want to stay on top of how my body is storing body fat, right? And we know as we start to age, our body is really good and comfortable with that storage of our body fat. So how do we tap into that and use that as an energy source? We have to bring that intensity of our workouts down and increase that duration so we tap into those stores. So I have here under the energy demand column, right, where our energy is being pulled from during the ask, right? So that zone 1 is 85% fat utilization with about 15% carb utilization. Now remember, these are averages, right? And these are just charts. But I want you to think about that. If you're at that low intensity and your goal is to utilize body fat, wouldn't it be like better for you in the big picture to keep your body in that training heart rate zone, right? Keep it in between that 50 to 60%. Or maybe you are I saw a runner here. I love walking. My goal is to walk 90 steps per day. Okay, so what if you were actually monitoring your heart rate when you're on your next walk, right? And you're like, wow, I'm barely at like 45% of my maximum heart rate, because there's a difference between walking around your neighborhood and maybe taking your dog for a casual walk and actually walking for the sense of putting your body in a training zone, right? And so when you start monitoring your heart rate, you can have that aha moment of like, man, if I just picked it up a little bit, or if I engaged some muscles when I'm walking, maybe I can tap into those fat stores and get what it is that I say that I really want. And oftentimes, if you are training and you're not seeing the results that you want, it's usually a tiny little tweak or something that you have to monitor so that you're actually working out in a zone that's going to get you where you want to go, because our body's going to pull from the energy stores based on what we're asking it to do, right? So if you're running, let's say, and you're training for a half marathon or a marathon, you might not be in that fat burning zone of training right now, right? Especially if you have a pace that you're trying to run at. You might actually be working out in more of like a zone 3 and zone 4. If that's the case, then you have to go back to, what is my ultimate goal? If my ultimate goal is to run a half marathon or a marathon and I want to finish in X amount of time, then your heart rate might not be indicative of a fat burning zone. It might be more indicative of utilizing those carb stores, right? So once we make that connection, then we can really stop a lot of the drama that goes on in our head of like, I work out every day, I don't understand why my body's not tapping into fat stores, right? We have to make sure that we're monitoring our heart rate, because that's just the way our body works. I'm surprised at how many women, especially fitness trainers, aren't having their clients or as individuals, you're not monitoring your heart rate. It makes a huge difference. Okay, so how do we prove that we're actually in a fat burning zone when we're done with our workout? Well, again, this is where our beautiful little Lumen comes into play, right? Because if you are using something that's going to give you a reading based on what your body energy is at time that you're putting a breath in here, you're going to know whether you are utilizing carbohydrates or utilizing fats. This was a huge aha moment for me in using this type of chart, right? Because I am a runner at heart, right? I love to run long. I love to run hard, right? And I was feeling a little bit frustrated about my physique when I was blowing in my Lumen, right? And I was running at more of a 3 and a 4 in my heart rate zone. I was coming out of my workout blowing a carb utilization number like a 3 or a 4. And what I want to be post workout is in fat utilization, zone 1 or zone 2. So this is the Lumen levels, right? So if you're using a Lumen or you want to know how your body's converting energy during exercise, the beautiful thing is we have tools today, right? So my goal post workout is to be in fat burning zone, either zone 1 or zone 2. I want to know that I'm pulling out of storage that fat and I'm utilizing that to support what I'm asking of my body, right? So you can now test it. I know on Saturday is my race day. So I train Sunday through Friday, and on Saturday I race. And on Saturday I work out in more of a zone 4, sometimes even a 5, because I'm trying to hit very specific targets during my workout. When I am done with that type of workout, I'm generally in a higher zone with my Lumen, right? I know I'm probably going to be a 3 or a 4, unless after I'm done with my race, I go back to my treadmill or whatever it is I'm doing, and I put about a 15 or 20 minute zone 2 workout in. And I give my body the opportunity to utilize what was pulled out of storage and transfer my energy source. So this is where monitoring things, monitoring your heart rate, monitoring your energy output, right? So if you have something that you can test that. This is also something that I tested when I was testing levels of ketones that I had in my body, right? Or how deep into levels of ketosis I was in, because I wanted to tap into fat utilization and burn off basically what my body was holding on my or storing on my body. And so I figured out that when I train higher, right, if I train in a zone 3, sometimes tapping into that zone 4, that my body takes a really long time to utilize, right, the glucose that I have in my system that I pulled out because I have pulled more carbs, right, than I have fat from storage. And it takes me a longer time to produce ketones. If I am working out in a zone 2, a low zone 3, I have tested my blood glucose and ketones, and I can get into a state of ketosis much faster post workout because I have actually pulled fat storage out and I'm utilizing that as a source of energy. So when in doubt, you might want to get some devices where you can actually test out to see if the workouts that you're doing or the training that you're doing is going to yield you the actual result that you're hoping for. And I know for a lot of us, it is utilizing the fat that our body is storing. Oftentimes it's just because we're in menopause and our hormones are changing. Okay. So what do I do with my fasting and all of this? So I work out in a pre-workout state. So I'm not in a clean fasted state, right? Because I want the energy to support what it is I'm doing in my workout. I stay fasted up until that point. Then I work out and then I stay fasted past my workout. Okay, why do I stay fasted past my workout? If I just put my body into a fat utilization mode, meaning my body is pulling fat stores out and it's utilizing that as a source of energy. If I immediately break my fast after that, right, and I create an insulin response and create glucose production in my system, then I just stopped fat burning mode. So I stay fasted post workout and keep that fat being pulled out of my body and used as an energy source. Again, I have tested this with my Lumen. I have tested it with blood glucose and ketone monitoring. It works beautifully every single time. So, what I want you to do, if you're a woman who's feeling frustrated about your training and you're feeling frustrated about the results that you're not getting, and you feel like all you're doing is dieting and all you're doing is exercising and you're not happy with the result, I want you to rethink how you're going about it, right? And for a lot of women, it is just simply you're working out and you're not training, right? When we start implementing these types of tools and these formats or these types of programs, let's say, right, into our training schedule, then we shift our body into becoming more athletically trained, and you get that type of end result. If you're just going in and you're not thinking about your numbers, and you're not thinking about the ask, and you're not thinking about the response, and you're not thinking about how your body is actually converting what it is you're asking it to convert, then we're just working out. And oftentimes we don't bring our brain with us to those workouts. We just bring our body, and we're not making that connection with the end result that we say that we want. So it all just goes back to numbers. The cool thing about today, right, is we have ways to measure this. We don't have to guess. We can put heart rate monitor apps in our watches. We can put them on our phones. We can put them in our watch. I always connect my watch to my Peloton, or I connect it when I'm going out for a run outside. I want to know that if I'm going to put time into my training, that it's going to be the most valuable time that I put into my training, so that I get the result that I say that I want. So I drew this little chart for you guys because we talk about mindset shifts here a lot, and I want you to think about this. Training smart versus just working out, right? So oftentimes when we're making decisions in the moment, like, oh, I have to get to the gym, or oh, I got to get my workout in, right? And we think about like you just have to get it done versus what it is you say you really want for your future self, right? And like, I'm going to do this today so that tomorrow or next week, right, I'm capable physically of accomplishing things in my life that I want to accomplish. And I'm looking and feeling my best doing it, right? Because that's important to us too. So where the conflict is between what you're doing in the moment without adding in some of those other factors, like monitoring your heart rate, testing before and after a workout, like all of those things, right, are going to get you to here. If you're just checking off workouts in your day and you don't know what your training heart rate zones are, you don't know what your max heart rate is, you don't know how effective your workout is because you haven't tested it when you got done, then getting here seems like it's almost impossible, right? So just adding in a little bit of thought and a little bit of math can be a game changer, especially when we're approaching it from that trifecta we talk about a lot here, right? The fasting long, feasting well, and training smart. So you want to fast long enough that you're pulling from those reserves and you don't have a whole lot in storage, so that when you go into your training session, it's the most effective minute for minute that you are in a training session. We don't want to undo bad choices from yesterday during a workout session that we're doing today. Our workout session today is to provide us a better future, right? Then we feast to support what we're going to ask of our body the next day. So what kind of energy do you want readily available for your body when you're going into a training session? And then how smart are you training? Are you monitoring your numbers? Are you bringing your brain with you to a workout? This is where I always say working out or your training sessions should be very selfish. If you are feeling bored or unmotivated about what it is you're doing in your physical fitness, I promise you it's because you're not bringing your brain with you, right? And you're not being selfish. Oftentimes it's when we're using words like but and only, and I don't think I can do that, or I used to be able to do this and now I'm not able to do the same thing, or it's boring, or I quit, or self-sabotage. Those types of dialogues that go in our head are going to disconnect us to what our body is doing. So if you can bring your training brain with your training body, I promise you the time that you spend in your training session will be the most effective and will yield you the result that you say that you really want. And for a lot of us, it's a lean, muscular, like fit, capable body with not a lot of body fat that's in storage, because we're efficiently pulling that out to support what it is we say we want. So I hope you find this encouraging. I hope that you will go into your training sessions with some of this thought process under you. invest in something like a Lumen. You guys know I have my link and my code down in the description box. This will tell you if what you're doing is effective, right? If it's efficient in the time that you're in that training session, because you're going to be able to see with just a couple simple blows into a device, are you utilizing carbohydrates to support your energy, or are you transitioning into fat utilization? And that's where you're pulling from to support what it is you say you want. So it's all in the numbers. It's all in the data. It is super fun when you start making this connection, because you will find that working out becomes a training session and not just something you're trying to get done to say that you got something done. And the results that you are going to get are going to be mind-blowing, game-changing results with little effort. The effort's on the front end, doing the math, getting the numbers down, plug them into your devices. It will do all the math for you. And then you just go out and you execute. Here's the other thing about training zones and training sessions, right? You can get any of these type of zones. You can get a zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, any of those training heart rate zones doing a multitude of different things. You do not have to do burpees to get into a HIIT session. You do not have to run to get into zone 2 or zone 3. What you have to do is put a combination of things together while you're monitoring your heart rate to see where the magic happens for you, because everybody is different. I can get into the same heart rate zone with a walk as I can with a run, right? And it all is just me playing with numbers. Raising my incline on my treadmill, lowering the speed on my treadmill, going out into my neighborhood, finding hills to walk up and down. Like, you have to get creative. And then when you're in the event, right, whether it's playing tennis or golfing or swimming or whatever it is you're doing, watch your heart rate, see what it's going to take to get you into the zone that you want, and then what it's going to take to pull you out. And another thing that we want to make sure that we're monitoring for our cardiovascular health and improvement is, it's great to get into a certain zone, right? So it's great to get in zone 2 or zone 3, but when you recover, how quickly is your heart rate pulling back? How quickly are you getting back into a recovery heart zone? Those are all signs and signals that you are becoming very efficient with your training and that your heart is paying you back in kind by being very healthy and responsive as well. Okay, any questions I can answer for you? There is no one exercise that you have to do to get these results. The most important thing about getting into an exercise program or a training program to help you get the results that you say that you want, especially when you're struggling through menopause, is find the activity that brings you joy. I personally love running, right? But I had to change the way I run so I can stay in the game and get the results that I'm hoping for. So I'm not out training for races anymore. I'm not trying to like hit a certain pace. My only marker for success with my running is my heart rate and this. And if these two things add up to what it is that I say that I want and I'm getting the results that I'm hoping for, then it's magic. I'm hitting all the right targets, right? And so again, go back and figure out what it is you want, and then make sure that you're picking the activity that's going to put you in a heart rate zone that's going to yield you the results you want, and then everything else is just going to be magic. Okay, if you guys have no questions, I'm going to let you go for the day. It's Thursday, so hopefully you guys have some good plans for the weekend. I will be racing on Friday, as I do every Friday. And then, like I said, the rest of the days, I concentrate on strength training. I concentrate on my race day on Saturday, and then everything else is more endurance zone 2, low zone 3 training. And I'm telling you, it has been a game changer for sure. And I hope it'll be a game changer for you as well. Any questions about the Lumen? It's in the description box. If you want to book a coaching call with me to help you figure out maybe your numbers, or help you figure out some activities to get involved in, or answer some basic questions about your training or your fasting long, or how it is to support what you want with your feasting, there's a link also to book a 30-minute consult call with me. Within 30 minutes, we can get a program designed for you and get your numbers all dialed in so that you can make sure that every minute that you're spending in a training session will get you the most effective result that you're hoping for. So I'm here to help you any way I can. Ann. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys back here on Monday at noon Central Standard Time. And then I'm taking next Thursday off because I'm going to San Diego to celebrate some spring break time and St. Patrick's Day with my family that lives there, and taking my son with me. So I won't see you next Thursday. I'll see you guys next Monday. Have a great weekend.